why are we here on earth, and why are you here? And I'm going to share my perspective of what I've come to understand from asking this question for years and going through different mentors, and what's the one that I've heard that makes the most common sense, at least to me, and I mean anyone I shared it with, it makes sense to them too, so I'll share it here. But also understanding this, it will help you stop searching. What I mean by that is, when I was younger, not that much younger, I mean I'm young, but when I was younger, because I didn't know why I was here on earth, what my purpose was, it was very easy for people to just sell me on a bunch of things, whether it was courses, books, all that, because I was always searching, because I thought, oh, the answer is somewhere else rather than me, right? And not saying that you shouldn't listen to other people. Obviously there's a benefit to having mentors, things like that, but if you really understand who you are, it's like you already have everything you need within you. It's just you can't access it yet, and I couldn't access it in a while, and I'm learning even more how to access it even more. But it's interesting. So think about it this way. So because I've asked, if you were to ask me what's your purpose 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I would be like, oh, to go to Hollywood, become the famous actor, make a bunch of money. But then if you really look at that point, even, I'll talk about my purpose. I don't know who you are, what your purpose is and all that, and if you even know what that is. And if you don't, then hopefully this will help you get some idea. But I questioned that point eventually of, okay, well, if my purpose was to make money, well, first of all, where does money come from? And when I dug deeper into that, I realized, oh, money is just a made-up thing. Few people got together, created a money system, and it helps just enslave more people. And that itself is a whole nother topic, but this is, again, my understanding of this, right? So I was like, if money and even Hollywood is a made-up thing, then how could my purpose, a random being that got put here on earth, how is it that my purpose is to become rich or become famous? Because those things were man-made. So then what were those people's purpose? Was it to create a system so that everyone's purpose becomes to work in the system that they created? So eventually that didn't make sense to me anymore. So I was like, okay, that clearly can't be my purpose. And then the point of money, I was like, if making a lot of money was my purpose, then that means the current elite, all the billionaires and trillionaires, that means they've achieved the highest level of their purpose, because all human beings, I mean, we're all beings. The word being is in all of us. Now, each one has a unique talent. There's a bigger purpose, and there's a purpose within that. Like your body, you have different organs in your body, and each one does a different thing, but collectively it's to, keep you alive. So I was like, if that collective purpose, not what my unique talent within that is, but my collective purpose, I had to find that out first and then see what I need to do to get into that, to fit into that purpose. But the collective purpose, if it was to just make a lot of money, that means the current elite would have achieved the highest purpose. But then that didn't make sense, because them achieving their purpose, because there's very few people very wealthy, on the other spectrum means that there have to be several poor people, right? Because everyone cannot be a billionaire. There's just X amount of money that there is, right? And so I was like, if that's the purpose, then my purpose would mean that other people would have to be in poverty if my purpose was to become the richest guy. So then that didn't make sense. So it's just, I started questioning more and more, and I suggest you do that too, because everything I thought I wanted, I realized it was put into me at some point in my life when I was growing up, whether it was through television, school, parents, family members, right? It was nothing that I wanted for myself, or that, and none of it had to do with my purpose supporting a bunch of other people, right? Because to make a lot of money, that meant I had to have employees, all that stuff. And yeah, I'm helping them get paid, but they're just an employee. Like, they're not free, right? So that didn't make sense either. So it was interesting. And as I'm sharing this, again, I don't know who you are and who is watching this. So it would be interesting for me to hear from you in the comments or one-on-one, obviously. And if anything, you get anything out of the video, by the way, make sure to like the video and subscribe, because that helps more people to see this video, and you never know, maybe they get something out of it too. Because if you're getting something out of it, you know, you would want other people to get something out of it too. But so back to the point. So I'll go into, you know, I'm not gonna sit here talk for hours, obviously. So I'll just give you the point that I eventually came to, and that's, I found a mentor, and he explained it this way to me, right? And he asked this point. He was like, look at life around us. And he pointed at a tree, and he was like, what's the purpose of that tree? And I was like, I don't know, to give oxygen or to give shade. He's like, okay. He's like, now what is the purpose of the sun that's above us? And I'm like, okay, well, to keep people warm, to give heat, you know, to give, yeah, some sort of heat so that we don't freeze to death, you know? And he was like, okay, now what's the purpose of soil, right? Like the soil where you plant seeds and all that. And I was like, well, for the purpose of the soil is to make sure the seed, you know, can grow. So he's like, yeah, give nutrients to the seed, right? And then he was like, now what is the purpose of a human being? And I was like, I don't know. You know, that's why I'm asking you. And the way he explained it was, to me, pretty cool back then, and it made a lot of sense. And it still to this day makes sense. It's like, okay, if every life around you, their purpose is to give, regardless of what it is to give, not the specifics, but generally is to give. And if we are part of life, if we're the same substance as life, then why is it that most think that their purpose is to take? And he helped me understand that that's just a programming. They think that you have to take. And then he helped me understand of like, our purpose is to also give, but then what do you give? What can you give that has the highest impact, that has the highest value that you could give someone? And that was education or understanding. If I could support people to have a way where they could learn and understand themselves, their mind, their brain, their reality, this reality, then they could function more effectively within their own body and within this world. Now, how do you do that is the question. And that's when he showed me this tool that he was like, here, use this tool. And when I started using this tool, again, I'm giving you a very short story. If you want the longer story, you could reach out to me one-on-one on Facebook, Instagram, and I'll tell you more. But long story short, at that time, I had a hard time reading. I couldn't spell many words. Most of the time, I would read the same sentence over and over, and I still couldn't comprehend. And my comprehension was very low. So even though I took, I think 1 or 2 courses on speed reading or something, it's like I read a little bit faster, but still didn't comprehend any of it anyway. And then, and so then through using that tool, what happened was my reading tripled within a week, or not within a week, within 3 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks, my reading like doubled to tripled. And then my comprehension went way higher. I started understanding everything I was reading, or majority of it. Like I would say 70 to 80% of it, right? And then throughout the time, then my reading got even more faster. My comprehension even went higher. So it allowed me to then question even more things. What is spirituality? What are beliefs? What is God? What are angels? What are demons? Everything that, because my mom was super spiritual, so I started questioning all of that to be like, okay, but what is the root of all of these points, and where do they come from, and why do many people believe in this stuff, And because my mom was super spiritual, believed in God, all that stuff, and then my dad was the exact opposite. He didn't believe in anything. He would watch the news most of the time. And so I'm in the middle, like, okay, but how could there be extremes of both sides? Like, how could one or the other be true if both really believe or don't believe in something? And so naturally I start questioning everything. So I went through a phase of believing God, not believing God, or the other way, not believing God, then believing God. But then ultimately I was like, okay, let me understand all these points for myself. And through that whole process and journey, I've been able to help more people. I've been able to help even myself. I moved out. I'm like one of the only ones, I think, at my age, move out at the age of 21 in my family. Most of my cousins are still with their mom, and it's just, Middle Eastern culture. It's like the guys are like with their parents for a while. But I moved out at age 21. The amount of my money I was able to make around that age, 21, 22, no one in my family had made that. And it was pretty interesting. And the stuff I understood, no one else in the family either understood nor they wanted to understand. Like, they wouldn't question anything. So it's just my change became so obvious that even my family were like, what are you doing? How are you changing, And because they felt lost, they didn't know what to do. And some of them didn't care. They just lived their life. But it's all started with me understanding, okay, if everything life around us is to give, that means my purpose is to give. But then how do I give? And what is my form of giving? And then I found out education. But then, okay, within that, how can I use my gifts, my talents, and what I understand to do that? And one of my talents, quote unquote talents now, is my ability to speak and communicate, which I used to be very shy. I used to be like the shyest kid. If you were in school, you didn't even know I was in your class because I was so shy and all the way in the back. But I had one of the guys I knew, I didn't know personally, but he was a mentor to my mentors, and he said, your weakness will become your greatest strength, and then you'll support other people and it'll become their strength. And so one of my things is through communication, and then I share what worked for me and everything. So if you want to know about all of that, how I increase my reading, my comprehension, everything, you could just reach out one-on-one and I could tell you more, because I only want to share it with people who are teachable. I'm just not just going to share it randomly for anyone on here. And if you reach out, that means you're teachable. That means you're willing to change something in your life. Because if you're going to get information just for fun and not do anything, then what's the point, So yeah, I'll ask you now, like, why are you here? So I want you to put your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense, the points I shared? Put it all in the comments. I'm not afraid of good, bad comments. Doesn't matter. Just put all of it. I just want to see who are the people watching these videos and what do you get out of it. So yeah, this is, I think, one of the longest videos I made, but hopefully you got something out of it. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.